So we kind of looked at that in the way of mobile gaming, because mobile gaming is a very big industry. It's very popular. Basically, everybody probably has games on their phone. But games really aren't social, even though they might be labeled social. You know, if you play Words with Friends with somebody, you're not really interacting with them. They're just acting as a computer that you play against, basically. Same way, you know, with basically every other game. You're not really truly interacting with them. You're just playing against them, and you're looking at your screen. So we took hide and seek, which is a very classic kids game, and we basically brought it in the 21st century by adding some technology and still using the interaction that hide and seek gives, but adding technology to kind of make it better, make it different.
You want to use a variant of hide and seek called sardines, where one person hides, everybody looks, and when one person finds them, they join them in hiding.
Yeah.
So if you're the last person, you're being the loser, and the last one finds them.
Yes.
So we collectively looked at 51 previous works, research literature, spanning, like we knew we wanted to make a game, we wanted to have haptic feedback, and we wanted to use location. So we mainly focused in those 3 areas. And what we found is that game technology, especially for mobile, it doesn't really, it'll use navigational, it'll use haptics, but it won't necessarily use both. So we wanted to create a game that used all of this. So what we saw in haptic technology is that there's a lot for accessibility. I read 2 papers just on my own about like how to make technology that the blind can use to help them move around better. So there's one about like making a cane that can sense objects in the way. So that's not really about like gaming. So we wanted to use it for like a fun purpose, not just accessibility. And then for navigational, there's geocaching, which we took a little piece of, and then also from Manoj and Dr. Hammond, we learned about the directional vest for motorcyclists, where they can use their phone to get directions about like where they should go because they can't use the traditional GPS. So that, with Manoj and Dr. Hammond, we were able to like figure out some works that are happening now, and then a way to focus us into our game.
Okay, so with such a large group, we had to make sure that we were organized, so that way we were actually able to meet our requirements that we set for ourselves. The best way to start talking about how we chose to design and organize our team would be to say how we chose the subject of hide and seek. It was originally, the first day we all kind of had a general interest in wearable technology, things like this, and then on the second day when we were forming groups, Dr. Hammond, our advisor, kind of brought this up about hide and seek and wearable technology with that. We took that and kind of ran with it and focused on the sardines game. So we originally, as we formed a group, we needed some direction and some tasks that we were going to complete. And so we created a Gantt chart, so it's more like a waterfall style. Quickly this became inefficient because things took much longer than we thought they would, and we quickly switched over to the Agile method, and we went with about 1 week sprints, sometimes a little bit longer if need be. But we met every week, and during class time, we worked together. We had separate groups kind of within our project team. We had, for example, these 2 were on Android. She did all the hardware. He did all the back-end stuff and did a lot of the design and a lot of the UI. And so during this time, we also used, at the very beginning, we had surveys amongst ourselves and some people in our class about what would be the most efficient way to bring a wearable device to sardines and things like that. I believe that's all.
Yeah, so our project basically uses a server, but when you use it, it's only 2 objects. Your phone, and then it's these little cute armbands that we're wearing. They're not wearing. I'm wearing. I support us. And so our phone is using the Android, and the goal of the phone is to start the game off. So if you're using a phone, but you said be social, well, we're going somewhere different with it. You start off the game on the phone, and then you pick your pocket. And then hardware is using an Arduino Lily pad and all Arduino parts, which we'll go into much more detail later. Together, that's our project. to show you a video. And this is us playing the game and telling you more about it.
Yes, this is basically what users would look like when they would be playing this game.
Vibe and Seek is a system that
Same. You want to hear about it?
Vibe and Seek is a system that employs the use of a mobile application and a wearable haptic device to create a new form of social interaction. This project enhances the hide-and-seek game variant, Sardines, by incorporating technology without impeding on the traditional feel of the game. The application encourages the transition of a mobile game from focusing on individual play to group interaction. Because of the physical aspect of the game, the participants still focus on interacting with each other and not solely with the screen or device. The Android piece of the system is designed to be an interface to bring players together prior to starting a game, not inhibiting social interaction like many mobile applications do. Once the game is begun, the phone can be hidden and players rely on signals from the armband along with their natural surroundings. The system takes advantage of the numerous capabilities of current smartphones like accurate location detection, Bluetooth, and fast data connection. An armband provides the players to receive haptic feedback such as vibrations and sounds without the need to access their phones. This hardware system contains a number of pieces which include an Arduino microprocessor, battery, vibrating pad, buzzer, and Bluetooth chip. All of these components are safely housed in an animal-themed armband with beanbags to provide cushion for the electronics. The haptic feedback provides hot and cold style hints through varying strengths of vibration to lead players closer to the sardine. The armbands are comfortable and attractive to encourage a fun environment for the players' interactions. While the haptic device allows for a more immersive environment, there is an option to play using vibrations and noises from the smartphone instead. Vibe and Seek can be played in any size space, indoors or outdoors. It makes a great team building experience and provides a fun reason to go outside and spend time with friends. Our game is just one example of how integration with new hardware can change the future.
Alright. So that would be just an average game on the device.
Yeah. So you saw they came together, they used the app, they all joined the same game, and then once the game was started, they put the phone away, and then they were live and finally on their own game.
So our application flow is quite simple and very intuitive for users to use. It starts out with our main screen of just Vibe and Seek, and from there you can either go to the instructions so you can learn more about sardines and also about how to use the armband, or you can go straight into setting up your user account. And by user account, I just mean your name. We just use your name, which is, it can be whatever you want. You also choose whether you want just the phone or the phone and Vibe band. And this is, the Vibe band and the phone can give you the same signal. So if you don't have access to the armband, you can still use your phone and still get all the haptic feedback. This is also where you turn on your GPS settings and your Bluetooth settings, which is what connects the armband to the phone. From there, if the user can go into either the creation of a game or joining of a game. And so when you create a game, you give it just a name so that your friends can join it later. And in the join screen, you just pick the game that you decided to play. And this will show you all current games. From there, you go into a game lobby where you wait for your friends to join in, and like there you can see everybody who is in it, and you can check to say that you're ready, and you see when everybody else is ready. You can also choose a sardine here, and you can, if you know who you want to be, like who you want the sardine to be, you just click on their name, and if not, you get a random sardine. And from there, you move into the end game screen, which is just the timer. And we decided that we wanted it to be simple because we don't want you looking at your phone. The more stuff you have on the phone, the more likely you're to look at it. We want you to put it in your pocket and not worry about it. And all of this data that we got goes to a back-end server that closes just the game and like the username.
Yeah, it's just communicating through like a standard web server communicating through a standard API. Some other things to talk about that the application does, because it's providing hot and cold style hints, it obviously has to know where you are and it has to know where the person who's hiding is. So the server is storing your location, which is Some people might not like that, but we feel like it's okay. One, because it's only during the time that you're playing the game. As soon as you're not playing the game, the location polling is done. And also, it only stores your most recent location. It's not tracking a path. It's not saving everywhere you go. It's just one place at a time, and all the rest is thrown away. So, if you're playing by your house, it might save, kind of by that. But if you're playing at a park or somewhere else in the city, then it won't really give any information about you. There's also no identifying information. You can name yourself whatever you want. You can name your game.
Any issues with GPS and integrating with GPS and testing with GPS?
All right, so actually our first user study, we scheduled on a Sunday, and of course it was raining, right? That's just how it is. So we're like, all right, let's just play inside and see how well it works. It actually works interestingly well. We played on the first floor of a building of a few floors. And because we're not giving, precise locations like, hey, he's in that corner, we're just giving hot and cold, it was actually good enough. And then also, it's not just using GPS, it's kind of the main source, but Google, has developed all this fancy stuff, and their libraries, take into account the what Wi-Fi access points are around you, and other like compass stuff and accelerometer. It's taking a whole bunch of stuff into account to kind of pin where you are.
And indoor activity is limited to, what did you say, 5 feet?
Yeah, like 5 to 10 meters, which, that area is probably fine when you're playing a game that's, hundreds of meters, because we're just getting hot and cold style ends. Does that make sense?
And you mentioned that once the game stops, important stuff according to GPS information. What happens to is it still persisting back then?
Yeah, so that entry is still in the database, but it's only their last location. Does that make sense? So we're only storing one location at a time when we're throwing away all the old stuff.
Hypothetically, it should be the location where the hire was.
Yeah.
So it should all be that same spot.
So, nobody else has access to that data either. It's sitting on the server and it's locked down. But I don't know. There's probably better ways to secure that. That wasn't a big focus of our project, was securing somebody's last location.
So you're going to take a precaution to limit it to that last location.
CIA recall.
Okay.
So I have a question. You mentioned that you were trying to create a game that was more social in nature. When you went out and did your user test, how did you actually go about figuring out if it actually made the game more social?
So we went out with a couple of my students, and they were really happy about it. They were like, I want this really quickly. I want to play on my own with my friends, and they were just super happy about it. You could also see when you look at their locations that without the feedback, they'll travel in groups, but with it, they'll kind of split off faster, and you can tell that they really like it, and it's interesting for them to play with it and get the vibrations, and it does bring the group together more so than without it, because without it they were frustrated. They wanted to stop playing, but with it they wanted to keep playing. And we're like, no, we don't have that much time, but they really enjoyed it.
When we tested it, it was surprisingly fun.
We did play. We played one without it, and it lasted 20-30 minutes, and it was awful. It was. I hadn't played hide and seek in years. Oh my gosh, I don't want to play this anymore. I think they all love me. I think they all went home. So as far as the old-fashioned versus the new way, we do think it's better. But whether technically it's more social than words with friends, that's just our interpretation that it is face-to-face interaction.
Do you have any armbands with Redwood?
Unfortunately, we don't.
We have
All right. If there's no more questions.